Good afternoon, everybody, and very warm welcome. I'm Hüseyin Dağdeven. I'm the Director of Employability for the School of Computer Science and Engineering. I'm also one of the senior lecturers in your school. Today we have four alumni joining us to share their experiences with you. I'd like to thank them in advance for taking up time, their busy schedules, and being here with us. We have Alvaro, Andre, Samar, and Christine, who have been sitting in your places some while ago. Now they completed their studies and transitioned into employment, and they have made, I'd probably say, rather well in their career journeys. And you are going to hear from them today in terms of how they managed to get into their first job, and then how they navigated through their careers and ended up where they are today. What we are going to start with a set of questions from my colleague Alan, who is going to chair the meeting. Before that, I'd like to thank my colleagues from the alumni team who helped us to organize this event, and I'd like to thank our panel members for being with us today. Thank you so much. How does it feel to be back?
Really good.
Good? Okay.
Nostalgic.
Alan, I'll pass it to you.
Thank you.
Have a good evening. Try to engage as much as you can. We'll have a networking session in the end. You'll have the opportunities to talk to the panel member individually.
Thank you. So guys, I'm Alan. So I can see some familiar faces here. Yes. So I'll be asking some questions, and I'll be giving you some time to ask some questions as well. We have four alumni, and they were in your seat not too long ago, and they are back now. Happy to see them. And I would like to ask a few questions to them, and then hand over to you. You have your own chances to ask your questions. Yeah. And you have your mic there. And can you please introduce yourself and what are you doing here in Westminster?
Yeah, okay. Hey everyone, my name is Christine. I was here at Westminster over 10 years ago, so I'm probably the oldest one on this panel. And I studied business information systems. So yeah, lovely to meet you guys.
Hi everyone, my name is Summer. I was at Westminster almost 3 years ago, and I studied computer network security and systems engineering.
Hello everyone, my name is Andre. I studied software engineering and I graduated 2 years ago. I currently work for ITV.
Hello, my name is Alvaro. I studied computer games development and I graduated last year, 2024. I currently work at a game development company called Federal Interactive.
Thank you. That's an interesting question now. So when you were studying here, did you know what role you're going to get to, what kind of job you're going to get into?
Yes, I had a rough idea that I wanted to do game programming, so that's part of the reason why I started and why I chose Westminster. Based on my choice, I also tailored the optional modules I took to reach that goal.
Well, honestly, I had no idea. I knew what I was interested in, and I knew that I wanted to explore those topics a little bit more. So even before I started university, I was doing a lot of data science and learning towards that direction. So the additional modules I took as a software engineer was also towards data science, but I thought that I would try to just be opportunistic and learn as much as I can about things that are interesting to me, and then just see how it goes, pretty much. And yeah, that was a good fun.
If I'm going to be honest, I didn't know. I had no idea what I was going to do, what career pathway I was going to choose. I think, similar to Andres, I knew that I wanted to learn more about new topics, and I think one thing that I stuck with is if I really enjoy something, I want to pursue something in it for sure. So I think based on what I studied, I did realize that I did like some technical topics, I did like some people side of topics, so that which led me to consulting.
Very similar to everyone else. I didn't know what I wanted to do when I graduated, so probably later in this panel we can talk more in terms of my career journey over the last 10 years, but ultimately I kind of just sat down with myself to identify what my values were, what I enjoyed, what modules I hated, what modules I loved, and for what reason and why, and how could I essentially pursue something as a career after I graduated. So yeah.
Thank you. My next question, let's start from this side. So, so what kind of activities and what experience did you gain from Westminster which really helped you in the job? Let's say extracurricular activities, or you have a career event or something like that. What kind of stuff helped you at Westminster?
It definitely was a bit different when I was here, but there were a lot of careers fairs that our lecturers kind of presented to us. So it's important that you identify kind of what careers fairs works for you. There are a lot of events in kind of like Olympia where it would be like, top 100 tech companies would be that you can go around, you can explore, you can talk to people. Also, there are a lot of social mobility events that were happening at Westminster and also at other campuses. So even if it wasn't directly maybe related to what you were studying, it's also super important to go to where there's going to be people from the industry. There was a lot of people from like IBM and KPMG back in the day when I was here coming to visit, and it was super important that I attended those sessions to kind of find out directly from them, because essentially they know what the market's like, they know what it's like to get into those jobs, and it was super important for me to understand, okay, how did these people get here? What skills did they possess to get here from when they graduated, and kind of like learn from them, because essentially they've all been in the same position as you. But yeah, careers fairs, social mobility fairs, and basically engagements like this. So yeah.
I think my answer is a little bit different compared to Christina, and I think a lot of people here, because I graduated during COVID years, so it was very limited, like in-person events and opportunities to get involved and actually meet more people face to face. So I think in terms of like how I tried to understand what was out there and available, definitely reaching out to the right people on LinkedIn, growing your network on social media, trying to understand exactly what you want to do, and then taking the next step, trying to figure out how you want to get there. It doesn't all have to make sense at the beginning, but just slowly doing online research, trying to understand what you like, and then slowly working towards that goal, I think will definitely help. And of course, if there are lots of opportunities right now at university, I highly recommend you guys take the opportunity to attend these events and then grow your network.
Thank you. Yeah, I mean, I was pretty much in the same boat, because when I started university, the COVID just started, so my experience with uni was slightly different, and also being abroad, I had this idea of how it all would look like, and yeah, it was kind of ruined by the pandemic. So what I did was really focus on networking and being around the right people and trying to learn from them. I always try to be around people who are passionate about software engineering, who are looking towards new technologies and trying to really be on top of what's going on in the industry at the moment. And pretty much most of my friends were from like different aspects, so some of them were interested in front end, some of them were interested in mobile development. So just being around and being part of this community was what made really big impact on me, because that really broadened my horizons, and I learned about many things that I was not aware that even are a thing. So this really helped me clarify and find out what options are really there and what I can learn about, and try to find things that I like the most. And yeah, I wish I would be involved more in-person meetings at Westminster, but just because my first experience was like trying to network people online, because everything was happening online at the time, that was like my main bet, and that's what I was investing the most in. It was also beneficial for me to do that, so that's what I stick with. And yeah, for good.
So I attended a lot of employability events. Like I attended this same panel like 3 years ago, I think it was. And then at this for game development, the course leader organizes a lot of activities, brings industry experts and things like that. So I always made sure to attend and take advantage of those opportunities. I also undertook a student placement from which I got my current position. And also, I found important for me probably the career mentor. The career mentor basically coached me for how to do interviews and things like that, which I think got me the job at the end.
Thank you. Interesting one now. So let's say we have a time machine here. We go back and we give you another chance to you do your course. And what do you say, like, what kind of approach would you like to change? And what would you like to do at Westminster in a different way?
I would have taken even more part into hackathons and game jams. I think I did not participate enough in that, so my portfolio was a bit, it could have been improved, and I'd rather so network more by participating in those events. I think that was a missed opportunity for my part.
Thank you. What do you say?
Yeah, I think I will focus more on certain modules, those that were involved with working with other people. So, for example, the group project we had was like really important, and I just realized after finding a job how many opportunities were in this project that I missed because I was not aware at the time. So probably I will also be involved more in just the social life of the university, just to be here, spend more time here, try to be around people more and just have really interesting conversations and try to broaden my horizons and get involved more in the events that are organized by Westminster, because I think I was missing out a lot on it. And yeah, that will be the plan.
I think from my perspective, I would say definitely more face-to-face time is something I would want if I was to do everything all over again, because we did miss out on quite a lot, starting from like exams to like project work. It was a lot of engagement that we didn't get. So I think that would be one key thing, for sure.
I would definitely say for me is definitely speak up more. I think the group work is super important. When you go into employment, you will be working within teams, high-paced teams. There will be people who are project managing. You will need to be part of that. I think when I was at Westminster, I guess I would, in group work, I would just take whatever position there was, rather than speaking up and say, you know what, I want to lead this project, I want to do this, because essentially that is what's going to get you recognised. And it took, to be completely transparent, it took a long time for me to build my confidence to be able to speak up in meetings or push back on certain things, and those things are all learned. So the sooner that you're able to speak up and build that confidence, the better. Also, the second thing would be to have a lot more face time with my lecturers and my teachers. It's super important to ask for feedback, because that's how you're going to get improvement, it's how you're going to get the best grades. So rather than just doing the work and submitting it, continuously ask for feedback, because that's how you're going to get the best grades and get to the best place possible.
Thank you. So let's say when you are doing your course and you might have a fear of employment, in terms of employment. So what's your actual experience? Because you might have a fear saying like, no, you've had a different experience in your study, but when you really faced it, what was the difference? And what would you advise to students?
I think sometimes you don't realise how difficult sometimes interview processes can be, and the interview process can vary depending on what company you're applying for. But when I was a graduate and I went straight into trying to look for graduate jobs or employment at companies, it took me by surprise. And I would definitely say that they will ask you various types of questions, definitely scenario-based questions. Sometimes you do tests, and I think it's important that you gain the practice. So having a mentor or career mentor is like super important, because they can guide you through that process, particularly if interviews are scenario-based or if they're technical-based. It's super important that you get that experience ahead of time, so it's not like a big shock to you when you are taking these interviews. And every interview that you do take, learn from it, for sure.
I would say that definitely first start off looking at your CV. In case if you don't have one, really trying to understand an online search what it is and what it looks like. Good practices on how to build a CV, because I think that really sticks out. You don't necessarily need to have all the skills, but there are some key skills that you do have right now. So really just sitting down and thinking about what can go on this paper and what would really stand out. From my personal experience when applying, it did take a couple of months, and again, it's like every time there is a pushback, just not becoming demotivated, but to actually come back more stronger and think, no, I will succeed next time, and really just practicing on Christine's point, just really going online and searching things out, having a career mentor to give you that advice and really practicing those skills, so it's easier when it comes to exam questions during the interview or technical questions. So I think just practice makes perfect, really.
Well, I was extremely lucky looking for a job, so I think I'm this outlier in terms of interview processes, because I sent maybe like 3 or 4 CVs and I got a lot of offers. But that didn't really help with my biggest problem, which was huge imposter syndrome. Like, I thought I'm not good enough. Like, it took me a year to realize that I'm actually a good software developer. And while going to the interviews, I was not thinking that I am the right person to be there. And I didn't have enough confidence in my skills and knowing what I'm doing, and I thought that it's all happening by some accident. And it turned out afterwards that actually the environment I was working in, the people I was being interviewed with were really friendly, really open. I was applying for a junior position, so the place I ended up with was like really helpful towards starting my career and helping me out with it. So it all turned out to be not as difficult as I thought it was, but just because I was putting a lot of this extra pressure on myself, which maybe thanks to what I was working so hard towards it, that maybe it's all balanced out. But my biggest problem was like really getting rid of the imposter syndrome and realizing that I'm going in a good direction. And thanks to that, I was also aiming for better positions. So the places that I thought I wouldn't be able to get the job at, which in the end actually that was a good fit for me, and I got offers from those places back. So yeah.
So my dad was a bit different because I took a year-long placement, and from that I think I did a good job. I learned as much as I could during that placement, and that got me a part-time offer to work during my final year, and then once I graduated, they offered me a full-time position. So it was more job seeking for the placement, which is still hard, but there have a lower expectations than every case. There are less positions, but process is a bit simpler, I would say.
Thank you. So I think you all covered a bit of my other questions as well, but let's go to the core. And when Sama said like key skills, yes, key skills really important. So can we talk more about this? What are the key skills you focused on especially, and what are key skills helped you to get the current job?
I would say a key skill, at least for game development, is C++. So I think you need to learn like design patterns and algorithms, and not just marry to a certain technology, because otherwise you'll be like more locked to a certain type of jobs. But if you can learn more technologies and learn what to do, you can find more opportunities.
How did it help you to get a job?
It helped me because the company I work at doesn't do game engines, which is a bit of an odd case. They do especially C++, which is pretty low level, so that helped me get a job. And then if you look for more opportunities, you see that a lot of them are interested in the low-level languages because they can optimize it above the game engine itself.
Sure. So you had a plan and you focused on the key skills which is linked to it.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. So I'm currently working on microservices in IDB. So one of the things, like as a software engineer, like it's pretty much you need to be good at writing code, right? But it's actually a secondary need for my job, because coming up with a problem solution, right? So coming from like ideation session to actually architecting the solution and coming up with the best approaches, balancing the trade-offs, and then eventually coding it. It's the beginning of that process is way more important than actually coding it. So management of the change and actually coming out with the work, especially in the big companies, to make sure that the value and delivered to the clients is very, very important. And for me in the beginning, I didn't know about that, and it was not so obvious to me. But actually a lot of like soft skills as they were more important than actually coding skills in my case, which I was focusing a lot on because I thought this is the most important things. But later on in my career I realized that there's so much that has to happen before the code change. It is way more important than the code change itself. That I also started focusing more on that, like agile practices or like continuous integration to make those changes and making sure they are safe, because they all gonna face end consumers, and making a mistake can possibly cost reputation or money for the business. So making sure that whatever you're doing is done following the engineering excellency steps was way more important than actually the code itself. Yeah.
I would say from my perspective, in terms of skills, like I mentioned before, that you do have all the skills you need to start off with. You don't need to have everything, but you have the key soft skills. I would say when I started looking for jobs and trying to understand what their key requirements were, firstly, it's really important to have the basic soft skills like communication, presentation, team working. And I think these three are for sure definitely everyone has in this room. From the experiences you've got through your project work, through working with different people across different teams, different courses, and communicating, I think that's the standard. But building on like technical requirements or technical qualifications, that's something that you learn as you go, and it really truly depends what you want to do. So from my perspective, when I was looking at what I wanted to go into, my degree is very technical, and my actual work that I do, I'm a consultant, is very people-sided, so it's not technical at all, it's the complete opposite. But just having the core soft skills gave me a little bit of confidence in trying to understand I could make a start, I could try and see how I can get there, and if there is further skills required, you can always learn. There's always an opportunity to take a course or get that extra qualification that you need.
Agree with everyone, to be honest. I think your soft skills are, as graduates, probably more important than anything else. I think most employers are looking for people who are can work in a team, can work in a fast-paced environment, are good at presentations. Maybe the most technical you probably get in my job is maybe like basic Python. But I'm client-facing, so again, like people skills and relationship building and how you work with others is probably the most important thing. And what employers will look for is someone that can articulate and can speak to people, such as clients, really well. Really.
Thank you. And among what all you said, because we have been hearing lots of things. But from these things, what would you say? What's the topmost priority? What's the top advice would you give to our students? What should they mainly focus on?
I would strip it back to basics. I think about what you enjoy, think about what your strengths are, think about what type of roles are out there that align with what you enjoy and what you want to learn. The industry is moving fast, so what are you keen to learn? Most things when you're a graduate can be taught. So it really is up to you, firstly, just to be very intentional and precise in terms of what you want to do. If you just want to apply for every job out there, just because you like one or two things, it's just not going to work, to be completely honest. Be intentional about the jobs that you're applying for, be intentional about who you are, your values, what you want to learn, and the type of companies that you want to work for. Really write that down, look at every single module. I looked back to basics when I was where you were, so in my final year, I looked at every single module that I've done over the last 2 years. I literally put a line across what I hated and like a circle against what I love, and what was it about those that I liked, and that's then how I started narrowing things down to jobs, industries, and companies, and I kind of built myself plans. These are the companies I want to work for, and within 5 years I worked for all of them. So, yeah.
I would definitely agree with what Christine has said in terms of stripping it back to basics and really thinking about what you really like and what you enjoy, and trying to understand again what are your goals and ambitions. Second thing I would say is to grow your network. Definitely reach out to the right people, have the right connections. Don't hesitate to reach out and ask them questions about what they're doing in their day-to-day jobs, and again, explain how you would also want to do something similar. Like, just be very open about what it is that interests you, and then just really having that one open door and then being able to go through. It's just about having one foot in the door, really, at the end of the day.
Yeah, I agree with everything that was said. I think like the most important thing is to be in a career that you're gonna wake up and you'll be happy to go to your work. and that would be something you're looking forward to. I mean, I've been in places when I hated my work, and that was the worst time of my life. So really, when you're trying to find your career, think about what you enjoy the most, what you're interested in, what you really love, because all of those things will help you out, prospect, and be better, and evolve, and try to be better every single day when you go to work. So just try to keep that in mind and set the bar, maybe like dream a little bit as well, in the sense that try to come up with how would you like your life to look, and then do steps that will get you there eventually. Right? Even if the goal will be like really difficult to accomplish, but having this well-defined target will definitely help you out. And for example, for me, I knew how I want my life to look, but I didn't know how I'm going to make it happen. But I was looking for a job that would help me make steps towards that. And that was very important for me.
I would say you have to be motivated to learn by yourself. At the university can help you a lot, but you also have to keep learning even once you get the job. So you can do your own projects, research, and be motivated to keep improving your skills.
Thank you. So before moving to the next question, if you've got a pen and paper or on your mobile, you can just write down the questions so we're going to ask questions to you in some time. But if you have any questions, I want you guys to note it down. And yeah, next thing is, when it comes to job opportunities, what do you advise for the recent graduates? Let's say there are loads of places we can apply for jobs. There are loads of places we can move forward. But what's the best way, what do you advise? What's the best way to move forward when it comes to job opportunities?
I mean, there are the generic ones like LinkedIn, which is great. Then the Engage website has some job opportunities. If you go talk to your course leaders, they may also have some. But I would say that if you know you want to work for a certain company, you just look at their website and see if they have an opening and apply. And then you can actually see like what skills they're looking for, and then you can tailor and learn based on that.
Yeah, I agree with that as well. I mean, it's also important to try to search on as many places as possible, right? So you have job boards, LinkedIn, can apply directly to people. But what I found very successful was working with the recruiters, because these people, they're gonna get commission for hiring you. So this is in their interest to find a job for you. So you can just provide them with your CV and say what you're interested in, and they're gonna do a lot of manual work for you, and the chances of getting an interview would be way better, and at least in the software engineering industry. And yeah, that helped me a lot. Also networking, like once you know some people in the industry and they know you, there are very big chances that they will recommend you somewhere. And if they have an opportunity, they know you'll be fit, they will reach out and they'll let you know. So for example, in my language ecosystem, like I don't really have to apply for the jobs because I know the people who will be hiring. So just because of this networking, it will be really, really easy for me to move forward.
I would definitely say look at LinkedIn for sure. Definitely a lot of people on there, a lot of recruiters that are looking for young graduates, people who are just about to start their career as well. I would recommend looking at graduate schemes. So there is a lot of opportunities that a lot of companies offer for graduates in different roles, different experiences. It doesn't mean that you need to know everything. Again, they know that you're a graduate, so they will obviously understand that your background is quite new and you don't need to have all the experience, but it's just about filling that form in and just seeing what happens. Personally, that was my experience. I did that. I didn't know what a graduate scheme was until I applied for one, and that's how I literally landed my job.
Yeah, I'm not too sure what to add on to what everyone else has said, but also there are a lot of social mobility charities which basically work with large companies, which when you attend, it's like maybe like a group of like 100 students, and over the course of a week you go to different companies' offices, you get to know the people that are there. Based on my experience as someone who does employ graduates, these are where I find talent. So it's worth showing up and making the effort and putting your best foot forward.
Thank you. I think Andres mentioned that he was talking about the CV. Let's say when HR looks at your CV, everyone sees there are thousands of CVs in front of them. What made your CV to stand out from others?
You have to know that one CV doesn't fit all. So what companies are looking for, they're looking for someone very specific. If you have one generic CV, it's not going to stand out. So sometimes you will have to amend your CV, you will have to amend your cover letter for that job. Take the time to do that. So if you know that there's certain jobs that you want to go for, if you want to be a project manager, well, you don't know what you want to do. Let's just say you don't know if you want to be a project manager or a business analyst or a software engineer. Have 3 different CVs then. Don't use one generic CV to apply for all those jobs because it will be a waste. Put in the effort to do that. Be specific. Look at what the skills they're looking for. Make sure that you have that if you possess those skills. If it's looking for something that is very technical, don't put something technical down that you don't have because you won't succeed. But be very intentional in terms of what's on your CV and what they're looking for. There's going to be thousands of CVs that recruiters look for. As someone that looks through thousands of CVs, be very, very, very specific because in the first couple lines, if I see that it's got nothing to do with what I'm looking for, I'm not going to read the CV.
I would say one piece of advice in terms of how to build a CV, tailoring it to what you want to do. Again, similar to Christine's point, just really thinking about what you've done over the 3-4 years of your degree, really actually picking specific skills that you've shown that you think are your strengths and really listing them out. And again, writing that in the first few lines, really emphasizing that you do know how to do X, Y, and Z, for example, for whatever role it is. And then really making sure that you understand whichever company you're applying for, does that match? Because you want to make sure that at the end of the day there is a link. So when they see that, they will match back your CV to understand, okay, so this person is the good candidate. So just really taking the time and trying to think back on what your key strengths are. And it could be anything really that you know how to do really well. It could be a qualification that you can do outside of uni as well, or something that you've just decided to pick up online. It still counts as a skill. And I think really just thinking about it and trying to understand what you want is really important.
Yeah, I mean, to just add on that, I think you both covered it very well in terms of what's really needed. I think you can help yourself out by knowing exactly what the company is looking for and trying to provide evidence for that. So for example, in my field, having a proof of your previous work or your pet projects or anything related to the job you're applying for can make a huge difference. So if you're working in a field when you can have a portfolio of some previous work like pet projects, anything that would prove that it's not only on paper that you know all those things, but actually can show how you utilize all those skills, can make a big difference, especially in the pool of possible candidates who, let's say, have pretty similar CV to you. Just having this one outstanding thing can make the difference. And keeping your CV exactly about what you're applying for, right? When I was applying, for example, I removed everything that was unnecessary for the job I was applying to. I was a waiter for 6 years before, and I realized that this is absolutely nothing to do with my job that I'm looking for. So I removed everything else, and I tried to prioritize things in my CV that had the biggest impact. So I personally listed my modules and everything I got from those modules to show that I performed, those are the exactly things I learned, to just provide as much as information about things that are of value, and also trying to rely in some sense, trying to present yourself the way you are, because I think it's better to just be honest about your CV and just state what you know and prove that instead of trying to convince the recruiters that you don't know something that you don't necessarily know, because people will be able to tell that. And currently I'm also involved in recruiting in ITV, so I'm looking at certain CVs. So I saw a lot of information that basically turned the candidates down just because it just looked like one generic CV for all the possible applications. So it makes a difference.
Well, there you cover everything. So just to summarize, I guess, I would keep the CV brief, focus and tailored to the company you're applying for. And I will try, at least for Game Development, I think it's particularly more important because it's a lot more visual. I'll try to get an online portfolio where you can show your games and projects.
Thank you. Those are really good points. Thank you. And the next question is, in your current job, you had your CV, you got your job and everything. Now in your current position, what do you really like and what do you really dislike?
I like that I get to work in very cool games because it's game development, and I get to work in some more games that I play myself, so I really like that. And I like to understand how those games work from behind the scenes. What I dislike is because some of these games have a relatively old code base from like 2004, 2006. So sometimes you have a lot of issues researching how or understanding how it works. You cannot like Google how it works. You have to get into the code and search how everything connects.
Yes, I really like pretty much everything about my job because I can work in an environment I like. The people I'm working from are really cool. We have similar interests. There's a lot of like social events. So for example, we do Friday quiz, or after every meeting we just chat a little bit. So we're like very close group. In terms of technology, we can implement most of the things in the way we want it. So we have like a lot of autonomy in terms of a team. So if there is some new library, we just like to give it a spin. There's absolutely nothing that stops us from, and we can do what we really like the most as software engineers. From the things I don't like, I think it goes to all software engineers, is when the users don't use the app the way they should. So if I get a query about someone having a problem, which is, I have no idea how they ended up there in the first place, it's a bit annoying, but it's also an opportunity to really look back at what you're developing and trying to find the gaps and maybe make sure that user experience is the better once you just forgive them for what they were doing.
For context, so I'm a consultant working in the cybersecurity practice at my company. So for me, I would say the one thing I really enjoy about my role is that I get to learn a lot of different cyber topics. And I know it sounds a bit nerdy, but I do enjoy learning a lot about different cyber topics. And especially now that we've got AI, there's a lot more to learn. There's so many challenges that come with it. So I think it's really interesting because it keeps you going. And there's always something to learn, and there's always something new happening. So it's not boring, or it doesn't just keep you stationary. It's ever evolving. And one thing I say, it's not dislike, but it could be better, I think, working hours, because we do tend to work with clients who are like based across the globe, so you really have to tailor your diary based on when they're available. So I think sometimes you can finish very late and you can start very early. So I think that's it for me.
So I'm a senior client solutions manager at Microsoft AI. So I work on the generative AI side. So it's super exciting time to work there. So I don't really have anything negative to say, to be honest. I really enjoy my job. I work in the sales department, so it's always fun making money. But hours can be long and working in sales can be turbulent. So those turbulent times can sometimes be difficult, but the rewards are great.
Thank you. It's really interesting that this is the first time hearing a job having a game and quiz. Is it every week?
Yeah,
No way.
and we're not doing so bad actually.
Okay, well, maybe we should do that in Westminster as well. Yeah, so next question is, I'm not going to ask for your final grades, don't worry about that, but how much your final grade impacted your work? How did it impact your project? Maybe your final grade and your project. How well did it impact your project?
I graduated over a decade ago, so back then it was pretty important. So as someone who didn't take a year out, the only kind of experience I probably had was all the experience that I had at university and my part-time job in like retail. So for me, my projects, my dissertation, and my grade back then was very important to employability. A lot of the schemes that I were going for, a lot of the companies that I were applying for at the time required a minimum grade. I don't think it's like that now, but back then it was very important. So yeah.
I would say from my experience, because I applied for a graduate scheme, they did have a requirement that you would need 2-1 and above. So I think that itself speaks volume in the cases of they're very specific about what they want, and based on that they will give you a certain band for your salary. So I think one key message is, at the end of the day, just really pushing yourself and making sure that you get that grade, but also trying to understand if you are wanting a specific role, really working towards that. So kind of doing the way back, trying to understand, if I get this, I'll get there. So it's just really sitting down, trying to understand what it is that you can do to get there, and then when that happens, and take it from there. But don't let that demotivate you or make you feel like you can't achieve that grade or can't get that certain salary tax band, whatever it may be.
So my final year project was something I picked from the list of available topics, and I was a bit reckless at the time because I had absolutely no idea what it was about, and I just thought that would be something really cool to learn about, and it was related with infrastructure as a code, which turned out to be like really hot topic later on for software engineering because engineers nowadays are there's expectation from them to be able to interact with the AWS, for example, or Microsoft to set up resources in the cloud. So I picked this topic, and it turned out to be like really sought after skill in the industry, and I got pretty good grades from that as well. I managed to graduate with a first class honors, and putting that together really showed my future employees that I am interested in the technology they really want me to be good at, even though it was not obviously told when I was applying for the job. So yeah, I was pretty lucky in that terms, but just because I was trying to find a really difficult topic because it looked like an opportunity for me to grow. So I had no idea about it. I decided to learn everything I could, and it was a really good move.
So, because I already had the job offer for my placement, my final year project, I didn't really mind about it. So I just chose to do a topic that would challenge myself, which was related to machine learning in games. I chose that topic because I think that in the future it may help me, even if it's not at that company, but it will future-proof my job a little bit. Yeah.
That's great. So you said you already had a job offer, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So in what way the university helped you to get your job offer? Let's say, did you do a sandwich course, or did you do like any extra stuff to get the job?
Well, for the placement, the course leader because I got it from the placement I did, the course leader actually has like a list with the opportunities for the job placements. So he helped me like prepare for the CV and interview process, like probability tests for that. And then once I got the placement, they guided me through that process a bit. So that helped me like review and think back about what I was doing right, what I was doing wrong during the placement. And since I did the placement fine, that's what got me the job.
Okay, thank you. In your job, like maybe when you got the job, what helped you, like from the university part? How well the university supported you? Like, maybe you did an extra course or something like that.
I think one of the modules like really important for me, and I was also one of the modules I was really into. So it was just this synergy between the programming language I use, which I use functional programming language, which is a bit different paradigm to and other programming languages really. And I was really good at data structures and understanding how really they work underneath, which was really important to actually understand the programming language I use on a daily basis. So that interest, and like my teacher at the time was teaching this module like really good, was really passionate about it, and made me very interested in it. And thanks to that, I was able to really translate those skills to my day-to-day, and I think that was really impactful.
From my experience, I would say definitely taking more leadership roles during course projects. So when we had different projects and different modules, I always put my hand up to lead the group. And I think in general, I felt that was quite interesting for myself because you're able to learn quite a lot when you're leading different course project groups. And you're trying to basically have teamwork involved and people communication skills. And I think right now that really does help because I'm put into different roles for different projects all the time. Sometimes I'm just a consultant or sometimes I'm the project lead. So it really just depends on the availability and the role that they require. So I think that definitely did give me that confidence boost because I had some prior experience and I felt comfortable doing these roles. So I think just really getting involved more in the course that you're in, trying to take more of that role, and again, really just putting your hand up every time.
Yeah, super similar. So I think you don't realise how much of the skills that you need to be employed is right here in front of you. So the tiny things like presenting, taking the lead on projects, working with different people, all of these soft skills are super important because you're going to work with various different people. You're going to need to do presentations, you're going to need to build relationships with people. And I think these small things that you pick up and learn in university will help you later in life, and it will help you in your job role. And also, you don't realise that the people that you're with and who you meet today at university, you will meet later in life. So every job that I've been, someone who I've been in my course has been in each of those jobs. So you just never know where you're going to cross paths with people.
Thank you, Pal. We really got lots of useful information now. And thank you very much. And it's over to our students, to our audience. And if you've got any questions, just raise your hand. The mic will come to you. Yeah.
My question will be building upon what Professor Alan has asked you. So clearly, you have seen like there's a bridge between academia and real world market. That's why you are here, and that's why we are earning that. So if you have to go back to your academia again, and to make yourself, like I understand grades are really important, but to make yourself more aligned with the job market out there, how would you do your undergrad differently with the experience that you guys have right now? Thank you very much.
Want to go first? Yeah. So I would just double down on something I was already doing, right? So networking and learning about the things that are really happening, right? So the job market is changing a lot, especially now in the age of AI. It's evolving as we speak. So it's very important to be on top of what's going on, and just having this passion and just being around people who are having the same passion as you do can help you out a lot, especially like you said, you're in the data science analytics, right? So machine learning is like very close to it, and using AI models to help you out with your work can increase your productivity. So being familiar with what's going on in the topic can help you a lot, because people will find someone who is productive. So if you have this advantage of knowing what's going on and being very on top of it, you will be more productive in your job, which will be very helpful. So people will look at you and try to invest more time and money into actually hiring you, because you provide more value to the business, right? And being in university and just having this interest and being around people who have similar interests can help you out greatly, because they might you might be chatting with someone and they're going to mention something you haven't heard about, and then you can explore that topic, dive into that, and this might be a game changer for you. So yeah, that's what I would do.
Hello. Thank you for your time, and we appreciate it. Your name is Andrew, right?
Yes.
Yeah, nice to meet you. And I have a question. As like an experience as a student, there is no time for like getting a job, so you don't have experience. So if you did project by yourself, like full stack, with tools and languages are being used today and will be used like beyond 2025, is that like will be a huge difference and will make you stand out other than candidates when you apply?
Yeah, that's actually a very good question, because that's something that can make huge difference, especially in software engineering. So maybe not necessarily the language you're going to use, but everything you're going to do around it. So the testing is extremely important, right? So if you're going to write a full stack app and you're going to have extensive unit tests, extensive integration tests, and you're going to have E2E tests on top of that, that's going to change a lot, right? So there are many technologies that most of the companies use at the moment, which are providing you with that out of the box. So for example, GitHub Action is one of them. So if you show this engineering excellency in your code base, I mean, it can be a simple hello world app. It might do absolutely nothing except of saying hello world. But if you're gonna have great testing, you're gonna have logging, tracing, observability, continuous integration with GitHub or Jenkins, right? People are gonna see it and be like, all right, we don't have to teach 80% of things we were thinking we'll have to teach you, because writing the code in the end is not that big of a deal. So making sure that your changes are safe is extremely important. So just putting like impact on those few things that are really easy to learn actually can make huge difference.
Thank you. And the project, like, if I want to mention that, it's not like simple project, like it's project that this, the logic of this, the software of this project, the business and the organization, they need it, like they are changing that and they need it for that business.
So you need to think in terms of like integrations, really, right? Because most of the businesses will just have set the business logic will be dependent on the company, so it can be anything, really, right? But if you know about databases, like relational databases, and you know about setting up backend and setting up a front end, connecting those three things together and testing them properly, it doesn't really matter what's inside, because depending on the company you work for, it might be completely different, right? So just having this understanding of those technologies and how they work and how they cooperate together is the most important, right? So like having SQL databases or like no relational databases and being able to demonstrate that you know how to work with it, that's perfect, right? Because the business case and the business logic will be very dependent on the company you work for. So it can be like literally anything, right? So you've got to be flexible in the project.
Thank you.
No problem.
Thank you. Any other questions? Please?
Hello everyone. I have a question for Andre. My name is Sharam. I know everyone else is easy. My name is Sharam. I'm a final year student at University of Westminster. So my question is a bit different from everyone asking it. My question is about AI. Like, it's obvious that it has influence in the market.
Yeah, I knew he's gonna go.
Yeah, and I want to ask your opinion about AI in the current now, like in the job industry. What do you think? Is it good? Is it bad? Because you know the bunch of people, like in universities, or who just coding from AI, not learning too much. Like is it good? Like, and how to use AI properly? And opinion of about AI in the industry, like in the other side of a program, like in a professional world. What's the opinion and what do you think about that?
So I think AI is a great productivity tool and it can help you a lot. Like it's essentially, you can think of it at the moment as a fast data lookup, right? So you can get any information about anything that will create it in an easy digestible form right in front of you. It can help you out a lot with generating code, for example, other things. But the thing is, like, if you are into software engineering and you let an AI model generate the code for you, you're taking a lot of pleasure away from you. Like, you gotta be in a situation when you want to write the code, you want to fix those problems, you want to look for those puzzles, right? So AI is great if you want to do something quickly and you know exactly what you want to do, and you can sacrifice the pleasure of doing it yourself, and when it's also safe for the business to do that, right? Because if you're gonna have an entire code base which is AI generated, like very likely there might be some problems inside. And the problem is also with the domain knowledge, right? You want to know what your code is doing, and you want to know about the trade-offs. So depending on the programming language you're using, there might be some semantics of the language that are embedded in it. That might be not necessarily obvious when you look into that. So for example, I write Scala, which is like, you need to know this language very well to know what's going on. So I wouldn't really use AI-generated code in production, just because it might look like it's working properly, but you need to know really what is going on. At the same time, I use AI on a daily basis myself, but I try to make sure that I'm not replacing my skills with AI, in the sense that it's just there to help me out be more productive and find information I want to know, and like it's going to be way faster than Stack Overflow, and then testing it out. And also the business logic and what your business is taking care of, it can be, like I mentioned before, can be anything, right? So AI will generate the code for you that it knows how to generate, but your business scenario might be so weird, so complex, that the code that will be generated won't be really doing what you want it to do. So it's better to have full control sometimes, right? But if you are starting still, I wouldn't use AI to code at all, just to be there to get your hands dirty, because this is the most important things in terms of actually learning coding. If you eventually get a job and you want to perform on it, then fine, do whatever. But this is going to really take a lot of opportunity for you to learn if you use it too early in your career. Does it answer your question?
Yeah. Thank you so much.
Does anyone else want to say about AI at the front? Because I know, Christine, you're working with it, and you almost work with it in different ways. So experiences of where you're at with it, where you think it's going, anything that could be useful. Really.
Very similar response, to be honest. With AI, it's a great tool to accompany you in your kind of like your day-to-day role or job, but it's not gospel. With AI, someone has to pump in data for it to give you a response. Therefore, you have to triple check what is coming out of that tool to know if that solution is right for you. You can't put something into AI, take it, copy and paste it and use it, because ultimately it could be wrong, or it might not be the complete answer or solution that you're looking for. In terms of the industry, it's moving extremely fast. Every company, if not all companies, are now going to be creating agents. You'll see them on websites. You'll see now, like when you speak to customer service, they're doing it on WhatsApp, or they're doing it on these live chats. So you're going to see it, embrace it. It's new, it can be scary, but just like with everything, technology grows, it helps you. But as a university student, I wouldn't use it as gospel. Still learn for yourself, learn technical skills, use your brain. It's like use it or lose it. So use it as a tool to learn, to help you, guide you, but don't be copying and pasting, because there are ways that everyone can find out that that's exactly what you've done. So yeah.
I want to ask, obviously I'm in my last year of my studies, so essentially I'm doing the application process at the moment. So I wanted to talk to the whole panel about the dreaded final interview. So essentially, I understand how the process goes, I've done the first couple of steps, but around December time is when essentially the final interview is going to happen. So essentially what I wanted to ask is sort of, what happens in the final interview? A lot of students, we kind of think of it as you have to sit down in a blank room and it's dark, and essentially you have to code a blank screen of paper, which I was thinking. But the more I speak to people, they have a sense of, if they're able to articulate what's going on in our code, if they're able to kind of speak on how you think it can be implemented to real world solutions, that is essentially what the company wants. But of course, all of you, I'm guessing, has sort of, are in the process of hiring students in that process. So I wanted to ask, how does that process go?
Okay, so it's very different for each company based on obviously what they're looking for. For example, for a graduate software engineer at Microsoft, essentially, if you get to the final stage interview, sometimes it's more about how can you apply everything that you've done in maybe the first or second stage interview in real life. So a lot of things can be scenario based. If a client presents you with this type of problem, what is your solution? What they kind of sometimes in the last stage interviews, they want to know how your brain thinks, how you would, your whole process through understanding the problem and how you would solve it, why you done something a certain way, or they might go over your tasks and ask questions, or they might just sit down and have a chat with you. It is very different. It is different per company, it's different per hiring manager, but yeah, it could go, you're not sitting there in a room one-on-one. Sometimes it is just a very informal chat because they're not looking for a robot, they want to know who you are and your personality, and a lot of the times these days, a lot of employers are just looking for someone who is willing to learn and they just want to know a bit more about you. So, yeah.
Thank you. I have one more question as well. Obviously in this current climate, applying for a job is crazy. If nobody's applying for a job right now, I'll tell you to apply for a job right now, but that's just my advice. But essentially, I kind of have like a list and sort of goals I want to obtain towards the end of the year. Would you give, if you were able to, the whole panel, give us like a checklist of what we should be doing at this current stage, leading all the way throughout to the whole year, I'll say give us top five sounds nice, of what we should be doing as third-year students or recent graduates, I don't know whatever's position, to ultimately get the job role that we want. We don't want to be pigeonholed in a job market or a job role that we're going to end up leaving in the year. So what sort of advice would you give in that space?
So if it is now until you're going to graduate, so let's just say summertime, because grad schemes open either January or summertime. So understand when those are coming out and be prepared. Number one, look at your CV. Well, even before that, number one, look at what skills you possess, what you've enjoyed over the years, and what you haven't. From there, build out your CVs, and again, be very intentional in terms of what's in your CV. Again, look for the type of companies that you want to work for. Who are they recruiting? What do they require? What's their interview process? And set up job alerts across all the companies that you work for, LinkedIn, get in touch with recruiters, let them know that you're going to be available from this and that, and this is the type of jobs that you're going to look for next summer. And I would also say...
Start now.
Start now, absolutely, yeah.
Absolutely. Well, thank you very much, I appreciate it.
Thank you. Any other questions?
Yes, thank you. Nowadays, a lot of jobs are disappear because of the AI, and I'm interested in like how many jobs in IT will disappear in 5 years? Like, is it will be a lot of some jobs or not?
I wouldn't say that jobs are disappearing. I would say they are probably, the demand for those jobs may be getting smaller, which means the job market is even more aggressive. It becomes even more difficult because there's more people then applying for those jobs that then become niche. I wouldn't say they're going to disappear, but the way that people work and the way that technology is kind of taking away from certain maybe manual processes, that means there's no need for sometimes like certain people who work in maybe like admin or data entry, those kind of things. Again, I think there isn't a demand, let's just say, for example, you have a team of 10 people, that will probably shrink to about 7. So that just ultimately means that there are less open, available roles, but it doesn't mean that jobs are going to be completely wiped out and taken over by AI, but I'm conscious I've been talking too much, so I'll just pass on something else.
I think, just to add to Christine's point, I think, again, there will just be less available roles, but again, it's just trying to understand exactly what you want to do, because again, we always need to remember that every job also requires a touch of human element at the end of the day, given that it's a very new technology and that it's still being understood, it's still being procured by so many companies and our clients as well, for the ones that I work with. So don't let that demotivate you. Still apply to whatever you want to get into with whatever ambitions and goals that you have. So don't worry about that.
And also second question, currently I'm in a year or 2, but I'm not sure who I want to be. What you can recommend to study for me much more variety of the jobs after I finish the university?
So just to answer the first question quickly as well, just to add something. In terms of software engineering, for example, we need to also be aware that the job market, compared to how it looked 10 years ago, is completely different. So if you take the AI out of the picture, it was in decline anyway. So in the sense that there was a time when like many companies were like hiring software engineers, new people all the time because it was just growing constantly, but it got to the point when there was no more point for that. So for example, Disney laid off 7,000 people. ITV laid off some people, right? It's like other companies were making massive layoffs. And it was not necessarily due to the AI, but just the way the market looked like, right? So I think the AI is not going to necessarily replace the jobs, but it's going to shift the demand. So instead of hiring people who will be doing those things manually, hiring people who will be doing those things with the help of AI. So it will gradually shift, and also like the job market is not as good, unfortunately guys, sorry to say that, but it's not as good as it used to be. And in terms of like learning additional things, right, during the university, you gotta follow your passion, right? So looking at the answers of the previous questions about like what you want to do and what you want your career to look like, just let yourself learn things that you find interesting, because this is what you're gonna perform the most in. right? It's pointless to learn something that you not like just because it's possibly gonna give you a bad opportunity, because this is gonna bite you back once you get this opportunity, and you might not get the time invested into the back. So just do what you like to do most, and just dive as deep as you want. And there's also something like very interesting. Someone told me back at DC about having a T-shaped expertise. So the idea is that the dash of the T is just very like shallow knowledge about many different things, and the broader it is, the better. But you have like the thing in the T, sorry, that is like really deep dive into this one specific thing, and that should be the thing you like the most. So whatever it's gonna be, you might find yourself in a situation where you have to pick up new things on the go. So if you have this shallow expertise in many different things, it's gonna help you out to pick up those things on the go much easier. And thanks to AI, you can learn things in a week that you usually learn in a month. Right? So this is actually beneficial for you. Does that answer your question?
Yes, thank you.
Cheers.
Hi guys, so my question is, given how competitive the job market is at the moment, how do you make yourself truly stand out with amongst all the other people applying? As well as that, were there any specific online courses or certifications that you guys got alongside uni that really boosted your application? Or any you would recommend in your fields?
I'll try to give a quick answer this time. Coursera is great because you can get a lot of courses for free, which are usually by big companies. So putting that on your CV can help you out because it shows you committed to it. And usually they teach you really good things. So going back to this T-shaped expertise, that's your like shallow expertise in many different things they can get certificate from. And also proving your work, right? Because many people not gonna necessarily have a good proof of what they know. So if you can get this proof of that, those things you know you can put them in use, make a huge difference, because there's many things that you have to learn once you get a job. So if you can prove that you will learn those things faster than other people, that's a huge win. Just one way or another, like, there will be some things you have to pick up. So this can be the decisive factor.
So I think it may be a bit hard to stand out just with a CV. So if you get to the stage of an interview or a technical test, you have to do the most out of that opportunity to stand out in that. So we just with the CV, it's pretty hard. But once you get face to face with someone, I think it's a bit easier.
So Alvaro, my question is specifically to you. As you said, you took a placement year and it allowed you to have a job offer a year before you graduated. Do you think that if you hadn't made the decision of placement year, do you feel that you have those skills that right now if you apply for another job, let's say that you have graduated and you apply for a job, do you think there are skills or your expertise that you gain in studying in the university will help you to land any beginner level job or so, because the job market currently is very competitive and there are even people who have spent a year in industry and they kind of struggle to cope up with that?
I think it would have been very hard, to be honest. I think the placement was a good foot in the door to get me the job. So yeah, I think without the placement I might have gotten something, but it would have been really hard, taking a couple of months. And in terms of skills, I don't think I'll have gotten the same skills. During the placement I learned a lot. I worked in their projects and I understood the life cycle of a video game in this case. So not just one focus thing that you may do in a university project, but you understand how every element of it connects together. Yeah.
Did the placement year made it a bit did it give you an idea of what you might be doing in the 2 or 3 years that you were studying after that, as soon as you enter the market?
I would say placement year helps you understand how the industry works, if that makes sense. It helps me understand what I want to do in some way, but it also helps me understand everything it involves. It's not just one person doing code, it's the whole QA, design, how sales, the whole process.
To Christine and Samar, because you are working in a similar role in terms of what the job requires, consultancy. So I think most of our students probably don't think that the consultancy can be done something as soon as you graduate. Could you maybe give us an insight on what kind of path to follow into consultancy role where you don't necessarily develop anything or you don't necessarily get involved in technical tasks, but you more get probably involved in talking to clients, understanding their requirements, trying to sell them what your company is selling. So I think these require a different set of skills. I think it would be useful to maybe hear about these type of IT jobs. Thank you.
Okay, yeah, so it's a difficult one. I'm going to be as honest and candid as I can. So, when I was a graduate, I had two options. I didn't know if I wanted to get into kind of like, to be a developer, or get into coding, or be an engineer, or be a project manager, or a BA, essentially. I could have gone either way to the course that I done. What I knew is I loved speaking to people, I loved presenting, I loved leading projects, I loved problem solving. That was the main thing. The second thing was I wanted to make money. That's as honest as I can be. I wanted to make money, I wanted to work in tech, I wanted to work with people, and I wanted to problem solve, and consulting is a great path to go down. So I would say the soft skills that got me to where I wanted to be was being able to work in a team, being able to work in a diverse team, and being able to work with various different types of people. So that's your business analysts, your project managers, your engineers, your data analysts, and that requires a level of people skills, slightly technical, it's quite data heavy, it's quite analytics heavy, and it requires you to build a network and being able to prove that you can communicate with people. So again, like networking is super important when you work in consultancy because it's trying to build those relationships with various different types of customers and clients, and the industry is very small. So it's super important that you're able to identify, okay, these are the skills that I possess, and this is what I want to do. Essentially, again, I keep saying being intentional because it's super important that you're intentional about what your values are, what your skills are, and then you can start applying for jobs that way. So yeah.
Okay, I completely agree with what Christina said, and just to add to her point, I think when I was applying for the graduate scheme that my company offered, again, when they're trying to understand your background, they don't necessarily need you to have a consulting background, they don't really necessarily even want you to have a technical background. They just want you to have some sort of knowledge around exactly how people, processes and technology work, and just having basic soft skills, which is what we were talking about earlier as well. Just knowing exactly what you're really good at and how you can leverage that in your role, and trying to, again, understand what your role will require. Some consulting roles require technical knowledge, some don't. Mine didn't, but I had that, so I guess that was an advantage. To be very honest, I don't use that technical knowledge, but it's good that when your client speaks to you, for example, you know what they're referring to, you know what certain key terms are. But again, right now, the conversations are very different. It's a lot more about strategy than technical implementation. So again, just really sitting down and trying to understand what it is that the key skills you possess at the moment, and how can you then leverage that to the role that you want.
Thank you.
Thank you. We have a few minutes, so we can maybe have one or two questions. Anyone wants to ask a question?
Yeah, I kind of have two questions actually. The first one is that for like a final year student, do you like recommend them to apply more for like jobs that are startups, or aim for the big ones? And my second question, more related to summer, like going ahead with AI, do you think that cybersecurity is going to be like the most in demand tech field, like going ahead above all the others?
Thank you. I would say for the first question, in terms of what you should be doing in your final year, yes, definitely try and understand exactly what you want to do. So really sit down and think about that. In terms of applying to different things, have a LinkedIn account, try and understand what roles are out there. and really try and understand what's comfortable for you. If you want to go to the bigger roles with the higher pay, they will require a lot more skills and a lot more experience. But given that you're just starting, based on your level of experience, you will want to try and match that, because again, that will match your comfortability and your knowledge at the current time. In terms of the second question, AI and cybersecurity, yes, it's a very big topic. Again, it's very new, so from my perspective, my clients are currently trying to understand how they can use it. So first of all, trying to understand its use cases. It's very new, so they want to make sure when they implement it the right way, and they use it the right way. And then again, trying to understand its risks. So again, having some type of risk plan in case something goes wrong. So cybersecurity measures will tie in, obviously, to try and protect anything that goes wrong with it, and then make sure that it aligns with the company's needs as well. So it is, again, ever evolving. There's a lot around this. So again, just watch this space, I guess. I hope that answers the question.
Thank you. Someone else. I think you raised it. Someone else raised it. One more person. Any other questions? I saw a hand from here, this side. I don't know which. Pardon?
No question.
Sure.
For the consultant role, when I've been applying to consultant roles, I don't know, because I studied software engineering, when I've been applying to these roles, I don't know, they kind of don't take me serious in a sense. When I've applied to it, they kind of second guess me, because sometimes they'll ask you for what you studied during the, they'll want to know what you studied, what's your degree in. So when I've applied to the roles, they always email me asking me, are you sure that you don't want to do a software engineering role? Because essentially, I'm very interested in, because I'm able to articulate myself and speak about the technology side, I kind of want to link technology and business together. I want to be somebody that's like in the share rooms, speaking to shareholders and kind of conveying what the technology side can be, how it can be implemented and improved. So I kind of wanted to ask, what would your advice be to both of you guys on kind of when this comes about as somebody that's trying to kind of communicate that I want to do more, but in a sense of what should I go about if they sort of keep emailing me asking me, are you sure you've applied to the right role?
I'll be interested to see your CV, because it might be telling a different story and you don't realise it's telling a different story. So that's the first thing. If your CV is very technical and it's looking like it's geared towards being a software engineer, that's probably why they're asking you, like, did you apply for the right role? So maybe your exec summary or personal summary you need to articulate that a little bit more to let them know when they're reading, actually, I possess these skills, but actually, this is the path that I want to go down, and this is why. So maybe that might be why you're being curbed.
I've got 3 CVs now.
You got 3 CVs now? Okay.
Any final questions before we break? I actually just wanted to make a comment following on one of the questions about the future of employment, and which is, I think, very interesting, because I think the main challenge or the key challenge expecting today's students is how to keep up with the pace of change. Because the world is changing and technology is changing very, very quickly, and it is not what we have lived, for example, when I was going through my career. Okay? So in 80s, 90s, 2000s, I think it was quite normal to have a job for life, or during your life you'll probably have 2-3 jobs at most. But nowadays things are changing so quickly. I think the challenge is how do you keep up with that pace and to make sure that you are ahead of that change and you are going to grab and you are going to embrace the opportunities. I think that's the challenge. And for that, I suppose the only thing that you can do is to make sure that you have really strong foundation, okay? That be it in software engineering, be it in, for example, consultancy, so you have that general foundation, and you try to change those skill sets to different scenarios, but also keep an eye on what is changing and develop yourself. So this independent learning becomes more and more important. So you have to learn to adapt to this fast-paced environment. So I think
one more question.
There is a question.
I wanted to ask about the CVs. This gentleman said that he has 3 CVs now, and that is, I think, pretty common. And I think because I've heard quite a few times that you need to, for every single job applications, you need to have like a different CV. Is it actually true that you don't have just one CV? You have like hundreds, and you're applying for every single one? The problem is that you would be applying for 500 jobs. You will only get like 20 responses, and then like, do we need to have all those hundreds of CVs, or how do we do this? Thank you.
I think 100 CVs is excessive. But this comes down to, again, like, if you have, I get this question a lot. I mentor a lot of graduates. So they say, I've got like 6 CVs. Well, I'm saying to them, why do you have 6 CVs? To me, it looks like you don't know what you want to do, right? So ultimately, if you have 2 or 3, it shows, okay, I have an interest in these 3 or 2 key areas because this is what I enjoy. So out of these 2, 3 CVs, these are the type of jobs that I'm going to apply to. And when I look at sometimes my mentees and I see that they've got, 3 to 5 CVs, they're all completely different and they're all completely different jobs. So one can range from being a software engineer and one will range from being a project manager. And I'm saying, well, which one do you want to be? Because they're very completely different. So sometimes you have to look within yourself and say, okay, what is it that I want to do? And sometimes the reason why you're not being successful in applications is because you don't have a passion for any of those 5s. You just are a generalist and you're going for anything that's out there. But when you come to an interview process or a screening process, you're not going to be selected because you don't know enough about that job role. You've just created CVs and gone out and spammed jobs. Essentially, it's not the way to go about it. Have 1, 2, 3 CVs, but all within a specific field. One that you enjoy, one that you're intentional about, and one that you have the skills to do, and one that you want to learn about and be part of. So if you find that you have a number of CVs, you need to narrow that down and ask yourself, what is it that I truly want to do? Take time. And when you take time and you build something that is of quality rather than quantity, you'll find yourself in more high quality interviews. You'll get a better response rate from employees and companies. I wouldn't advise you to have numerous CVs to just spam up, because that's just not how you're going to show up. And you have loads of questions like, oh, how do I stand out? How do I stand out? It's not going to be by having numerous CVs and just applying to anything and everything. You're going to stand out when you're confident within yourself and your CV shows that, because you're knowledgeable enough in what you're applying for. So yeah.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Can we have a big hand? Give a big hand to the